Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, tonight we're going to do things in reverse. I normally talk about a historical event and then bring it into modern context. We're going to do that backwards. Because it's weird. Tonight, I was hanging out with everybody there was either a vet or an ex-contractor. For whatever reason, somebody had the president's speech to the troops in Afghanistan playing on their phone. It's a normal Trump speech. I'm the greatest man in the world type of thing. Until about 8 minutes in. And then everybody stopped and looked at the phone. First he said, well, we kept the oil in Syria. No, we didn't. That's not true. But I'm not here to fact check the president about that. He goes on to say, during the campaign I kept saying that, keep the oil, but they didn't have to listen to me. I was a civilian then. You're a civilian now. The president is a civilian now. The title of commander-in-chief exists solely because he's a civilian. It's not a rank. That's not something you can get promoted into. It exists because the U.S. has a centuries-old concept of civilian control of the military. And it's really important, and it's a line that's getting blurred more and more. The reason it exists is twofold. The first being that, in theory, Congress and the president exercise the will of the people. They have to get together, work together, and decide to deploy the military, get a declaration of war, an authorization for military force, something like that. And that should reflect the will of the people. Then the president has strategic control. What main targets to hit, how much collateral damage we're willing to accept, what the mission parameters are, stuff like that. The reason the president has that power is because, in theory, they should be working towards peace. That's why it exists. The other reason is to stop the U.S. from devolving into some two-bit military dictatorship under the leadership of Generalissimo Trump. Trump is a civilian. He's not a general. Period. Full stop. No discussion on this. He is a civilian. He is not part of the military. He has control, but is separate from it. It's a really important concept. It's so important that if you look back at American history, for the first almost 200 years of this country's existence, it was taboo for the president to salute the troops because he's a civilian. You look back at Eisenhower, Kennedy, Roosevelt. These guys did not salute the troops with any regularity whatsoever. You'll find some instances of them doing it when it's a Medal of Honor recipient or something else extraordinary like that. The only person that did it with any regularity whatsoever was Grant when he was drinking, and he drank a lot. It wasn't until Reagan that became a thing. And it also had to do with alcohol. Reagan and the Marine Corps Commandant were having drinks. Reagan was complaining that, the Marines, they had to hold that salute the whole time. He didn't understand why he couldn't just salute them and let them drop their hand. And the Commandant, who's had a couple in him, it's like, you're the president, do what you want. I mean, that's kind of what he said. He was like, I don't think anybody's saying anything. And that's where the tradition started. And that, in and of itself, is kind of harmless. But it's the beginning of this line being blurred. And historically, when that line gets blurred, and a country that had civilian control of the leadership, of the military, when the head of state starts to be seen as the general, the next thing that happens is war crimes. It always goes bad. Incidentally, the real reason everybody looked at the phone is because keeping Syria's oil, that's a war crime. It's called pillaging, not just for pirates. It's illegal under the Geneva Conventions, and the U.S. War Crimes Act. That's not happening. If it is, the Democrats can stop looking for their high crimes and misdemeanors. They found it. I would really hope that the Pentagon would have the integrity to tell the president that that is not happening. Any military commander that participated in that would be open to prosecution. That oil belongs to Syria. At least the pretense is that we do not have a colonial military. We do not conquer other nations and take their natural resources. It would be a war crime, as outlined by international law, U.S. law, treaties backed up by the force of the U.S. Constitution. This is why the Commander-in-Chief's real control over the military has traditionally been limited to strategic decisions, because they shouldn't get involved in the day-to-day because they don't know enough about it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.